Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Coming up here on today's show, my Las Vegas Raiders 2023 NFL free agency plan. On this show, I have the Silver and Black signing 7 players. All the contracts that you see are projections from PFF. So currently, the Silver and Black, they sit at $39.1 million. Essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend that money. I'm going to spend all $39.1 million on free agents to make this team better. In terms of salary cap and where the Raiders rank amongst some of the other NFL teams out there, the Raiders right now have the 5th most salary cap space. I will admit, though, this is not updated after the Daniel Jones deal. So I actually think that the Raiders could be number 4 on this list. In terms of where the Raiders stack up against their division rivals in the AFC West, they have by far the most. Chiefs, Chargers, both in the negatives. Broncos right in the middle of the pack at number 16. So for the Raiders to be probably number 4 now on here, they have the money to be able to spend, and they are going to be aggressive this offseason. I can't freaking wait. If you guys are excited as well for this offseason, remember, subscribe to the Raiders Report. But since we're talking about our division rivals, I can't stand all those teams. So all I ask you guys to do right now is give me an FDEN, give me an FKC, and give me an FLAC in the chat. F them all, because I'm hoping very, very soon with my Raiders free agency plan that we can finally come out on top of this division. So again, all of the contract values that you're going to see in today's show are based off PFF projections. Whatever PFF thinks that that's how much they're going to cost, that's essentially what I am signing them for here on today's show. So again, as it stands right now, we're at $39.1 million in overall salary cap space. The first player that I'm going to be bringing in here to the Silver and Black is James Bradberry, cornerback from the Philadelphia Eagles this past season. He's scheduled to make $12 million, at least that's what PFF projects. So as you can see on the right side of the screen, you take $39.1 million, you subtract $12 million, which means now we have $27.1 million left to spend. Why did I go out and I get Bradberry? Well, he's got some experience in Patrick Graham's system. I also know we got to be able to find a replacement for Rock Ya-Sin. He has started at least 15 games every season since 2017, and I don't really think that he's a true number 1 cornerback anymore. But when you consider the fact of how deep the cornerback class is this year in the draft, if I can have a guy like Nate Hobbs, who I kind of want to kick him back into the slot, you can have James Bradberry on the outside, and then you go out and you draft one of these other top cornerbacks in the 2023 NFL draft. I really like that secondary a lot. Bradberry's 29 and a half years old, and he's coming off a really solid season of 3 interceptions, 17 pass breakups. One of the biggest reasons why the Philadelphia Eagles were as good as what they were on the defensive side of the football, yeah, they pressured the quarterback, but they had Darius Slay and Bradberry. And Bradberry got not picked on, but he got targeted because people didn't want to throw at Slay. And Bradberry rose to the occasion. So you got a good corner at $12 million who also knows the Patrick Graham system. To me, that sounds like a win. If the Raiders go out and they sign Bradberry, Chugs and I are going to be throwing an absolute party here on the Raiders Report. And to make sure you never miss anything going on around the Raiders free agency, subscribe and then turn on that notification bell and then click all. That way, every time I drop a video, you get notified on your phone. Let's go to the next player here. I have the Raiders signing in free agency. I'm going to go with defensive tackle Dalvin Tomlinson. And PFF has him at $11.75 million, which now means I have $15.35 million left to spend. Why did I go with Tomlinson? If you've watched the show before, you'll know. Defensive tackle is the biggest team need, at least in my personal opinion. I want to be able to see one-on-ones for Crosby, one-on-ones with Chandler Jones. That's going to help Tomlinson, who is a good run stopper, coming off a pretty solid year this past season with the Minnesota Vikings. Guess what? Who also has experience in Patrick Graham's system. With Duron Payne getting franchise tagged, your top 2 defensive tackles out there right now are Javon Hargrave, who he's scheduled to make $18-20 million a year. I would have loved to get him, but this team has a lot of other holes, and I do think Dalvin Tomlinson is a big enough body to plug up, giggity, some of those holes. So by going out and getting Tomlinson, I still have money to spend. I have a great cornerback in James Bradberry. I have a really good defensive tackle in Dalvin Tomlinson, and I still have some money to spend. When you go back and you look at some of the years that Tomlinson has had in the past, he's had some pretty productive years. Back in 2022, I also have the numbers from 2020. So 2022 PFF grade, he had his best pass rush year at 79.1. 550 snaps, an overall grade of 77.1. But the year that I really want to show y'all is the last time that he played in a Patrick Graham system. Back in 2020, 648 snaps, a 75.1 overall grade, a 70.3 run defense grade, a 74.6. I like Dalvin Tomlinson. He did struggle with two or one minor injury last season, which made him miss a few games. But when he came back, he got right after it, and he was playing a really, really solid football. So I got James Bradberry, and I got Dalvin Tomlinson. I'll tell you who else I have the Raiders bringing in my free agency plan. But again, y'all, today's show is presented by Athletic Greens. Huge shout out to them for sponsoring the Raiders Report. I definitely needed my AG1 after the crazy live show we did yesterday. But hey, I take AG1 by Athletic Greens literally every day. Get comprehensive, convenient daily nutrition at athleticgreens.com/chatsports. I gave AG1 a try because I wanted immune system support. And one of the supplement that tastes great. I take AG1 in the morning, and it makes me feel ready to take on my day. My grandma and grandpa, they always told me the early bird gets the worm, so AG1 inspires and motivates me to get as many worms as possible every day. AG1 really helps me getting my day started, getting out of bed, especially after a crazy Wild 114 watch party. It can be difficult, and I'm a person who likes and needs a routine. AG1 helps me stick to my healthy routine, wake up early, take my AG1, take Chuck for a walk, and then hit the gym before work. Covering my nutritional basis for the day literally couldn't be easier, which is why I trust Athletic Greens. I just mix one small scoop of AG1 with water and drink it first thing in the morning. Done! I also like it because it costs less than $3 a day. That's pretty good if you ask me. It's a really effective daily habit with the highest quality source ingredients. It is a win-win, baby. If a comprehensive solution is what you need from your supplement routine, then Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and 5 free travel packs with your first purchase. So, Nation, what are you waiting for? Go to athleticgreens.com/chatsports. That's athleticgreens.com/chatsports. Check it out. Link's going to be in the comments and in the description of today's video. Let's go with the next player here that I'm signing on the Raiders Report, presented by AG1. It's Nate Davis, the offensive guard who played last season with the Tennessee Titans. He is scheduled to make, according to PFF, $9.5 million, which means I got $5.85 million left to spend. The reason why I am going with Nate Davis here is because I see the Raiders moving on from Andre James. So you move on from Andre James, and that means Dylan Parham is going to be your center. Left tackle's Colt Miller. I need another solid offensive guard, and if you do plan on going with a young rookie quarterback, guess what? You need to upgrade your interior offensive line, because last season the Raiders' interior offensive line was by far their biggest weak in the chink. Or was it chink in the link? I don't know. Either way, it needs to be upgraded. So this is what PFF had to say on Nate Davis and why I want him to be a Raider. Davis earned a career-best 66.8 pass blocking grade in the last season of his rookie contract, a huge jump from his previous high of 52.6. That was an important development to go along with his consistently solid run-blocking ability. From 2020 to 2022, Davis's 74.1 run-blocking grade ranks 14th among guards, routinely getting to the second level in the Tennessee Titans' zone running scheme, with good movement skills. If he can continue to improve in pass protection and round out his game, the former third-round pick could be a quality guard for the next several years. And I agree with that. When you look at the overall blocking ability, I know that this team wants to be able to block. That's why they gave Jacobs the tag. It's why I think that they're also going to give Jacobs a longer contract. 12 games, 3 sacks allowed. Really trying to win in the trenches is important for this Raiders team, especially moving forward. So with right now, I got $5.85 million. Let's go with the linebacker position. I had to go a little bit cheaper here. I wanted to get Drew Tranquill. Honestly, though, he was just unfortunately too expensive for me. So $4 million is what Kyzir White is, which means now I have left $1.85 million to spend. Why did I go with Kyzir White? He is a solid weak side linebacker, and I'm not really somebody who wants to break the bank at the linebacker position. I also think that there's some other solid linebackers that you could potentially get in this year's draft in round 2 and round 3 for the Raiders. He's got good speed to be able to hang with wide receivers and running backs, which in today's NFL is important. He's not somebody that I would really trust to be able to cover tight ends because he is undersized in terms of a linebacker. Last season, according to PFF, a 64.3 overall grade, had over 100 tackles, 3 tackles for loss. He's a player who has some experience, and I like Kyzir White. Yes, he does have experience in the AFC West, previously with the Los Angeles Chargers. Had a solid year this past season with Philadelphia. And I do think if you pair Kyzir, James Bradberry, you get some of those teammates, and then you can hopefully continue to build a winning culture moving forward. So $1.85 million. Mitch, I thought you said you're signing 7 players. I am. Be patient. Let's go with the next player here. I'm going to go Jarrett Stidham, and I'm going to offer him $1.4 million. Is it a lot of money? No, it's not a lot of money. But at the end of the day, if I'm Stidham, I'm looking at that as saying, okay, it's a big raise compared to what he got last season. Last season, for the Raiders, he played at somewhere just under $1 million. So you're giving him a raise. And I don't know what other NFL team out there gives Stidham a legitimate shot. Like, seriously, tell me another NFL team out there that gives Stidham a shot. I don't know if it exists. So for Stidham, I look at it as like, all right, I got an opportunity to be that quarterback too. I have an opportunity to potentially groom a young quarterback, and I'm with a coach that I know. I'm with a general manager that I know. I'm with a scheme that I know. And if the rookie quarterback doesn't work out, Stidham might actually have an opportunity. So in this situation, I could see Jarrett Stidham bidding on himself, taking a risk, and coming back for the Raiders at a little bit of a discount. So if you guys want to hit me up on Twitter and IG, at Mitchell Renz 365, Venmo, the exact same spot there as well. Also, I encourage everyone to join a lot of our real ones, our big-time diehard fans over on Locals at RaidersReport.locals.com. All right, let's continue to go with this plan here. So, as you can see, I got $450,000 to spend. I need more money. Well, what am I going to do? I'm going to move on from Andre James. By moving on from James, you save $5.1 million. I like Andre, but I have said for a long time that this is the move that this team is more than likely going to make. They like Dylan Parham. So now I have Colt Miller, Dylan Parham at center, and I got Nate Davis as my offensive guard. You move on from James, and now I got $5.55 million left to spend. So let's continue to sign some players here. One of the players that I want to re-sign is Jermaine Eluemunor, and you can bring him in at $3.75 million according to PFF, which means, okay, I got $1.8 left to spend. I like Eluemunor, and I wouldn't blame him for trying to go out and get more money considering the fact that he is coming off a career year. But just like I said about Stidham, I would imagine Eluemunor would want to play for this team again. He has had a lot of success with Carmen Brasolo, the Raiders' offensive line coach from their days back with New England, and then the season he had last year. And if I was the Raiders, I would try to really bring this guy back. He can play guard, but I would just put him back out there at tackle. He did a good job. He played really, really well as the season continued to go on. So now you have Jermaine Eluemunor at right tackle. You got you got Davis at offensive guard. Nate Davis, I know. And then you got Dylan Parham at center. Left tackle's Colt Miller. That's a pretty solid offensive line for your rookie quarterback that you end up bringing in. The final player, and this was difficult, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to the well again on another guy. I'm going to re-sign Duron Harmon at $1.75 million. And last season, I was very impressed by Harmon. 32 years old. I told a lot of people Harmon's going to be that player that reminds you of that Casey Hayward role, where he's up there in age, but he had a really good year. In fact, I would say it's his best year that he's had probably since 2017. 86 tackles, 2 interceptions, 5 pass breakups, had a 72 overall grade in terms of coverage when it comes to PFF. Yeah, I would like to be able to add another safety that's not Harmon, but at that point, I'm trying to pick certain players here, and I don't love a lot of the safeties in this year's draft. So here is my Raiders free agent plan. I'm going to sign James Bradberry. I'm going to sign Dalvin Tomlinson. I'm going to sign Nate Davis, Kyzir White, Jarrett Stidham. I'm going to move on from Andre James. You're going to re-sign Jermaine Eluemunor, re-sign Duron Harmon, and you'll probably honestly have to end up cutting some other players because well, $5K is not going to be enough money to sign all your rookies, but hey, we'll get to that point in due time. I do think, though, if this was the plan that the Raiders went with, what I would then look to do in the draft is you got to find your franchise quarterback. I built you an offensive line. Let's go out and get one of our guys, whether that be C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson, whoever the hell it is. You need to find your franchise quarterback. Then you got to get a cornerback, an outside cornerback that's in the top 10. This year's draft is loaded with corners. In fact, I think it might be one of the strongest cornerback classes that I've seen in a long time. If you're taking your franchise QB, that goes at number 7. Top outside corner, I would then look at somewhere around pick number 38 to get that guy. Then you got to add a starting caliber linebacker. I'd probably look at pick number 70, depending if a dude like Drew Sanders falls, maybe Campbell from Iowa, if they're on the board at 38, that can be maybe a little bit of a different discussion. But you do need to add another linebacker according to my plan. You got to get a tight end in the middle rounds. There's a lot of, I would say the two strongest positions this year in the draft, corner and tight end. If you can get a solid tight end in round 4 who can also block you, pair him with Darren Waller, you're moving in the right direction. And then the last thing I'll add is another edge. You can never have too many guys that can actually get after the quarterback. I would look for an athlete who would be a little bit of a project that could learn behind Crosby, learn behind Chandler Jones, and have that extra burst. Could be somebody who you just throw in there here and there to just pin their ears back and get after the quarterback. So now's your time to be brutally honest with me. I want you to grade my Raiders offseason plan. I told you what I would do in free agency, and now I'm telling you what I would do in the draft. That's my plan. Give me some grades, A, B, C, D, or F.